as we use the ELA framework to actually break down what I just read, thinking about what we would want our students to be noting and considering, first we're going to ask, what is the author trying to convey here? So, a huge theme in The Great Gatsby is the emptiness of the American dream, and that's something that's very much hit home in this final passage. Another thing that I think the author is really trying to convey in this story with a protagonist like Gatsby is the tension between idealism and realism, especially concerning love, I think. And then also in this bit, Nick's, the narrator's, final perceptions of Gatsby, which are perhaps both pitying and admiring. So I think all of these are things that F. Scott Fitzgerald is trying to get across to his reader. And how does he create this meaning? As a teacher, I need to be able to break this down, because if I'm not really considering how the author is making meaning, then my lessons are not going to be authentically structured in a way that helps my students to get there too. So first, I notice the symbolism of all the light imagery. This is a recurring motif throughout The Great Gatsby, but it certainly is hit home in this final passage. Next, we know that Fitzgerald is using a narrator who may or may not be reliable, and that this is going to shift how we view the plot and the theme of the book. Then we have the personification of the land in these final paragraphs. We have the run-on sentence at the very end. And then we have this boat metaphor in the final sentence. So all of these things are ways in which we are layering meaning in this story, to go beyond plot, but really into metaphorical thinking as well. So finally, then we have to say, what must a reader do to get at this meaning, right? What do my students need to be thinking about? And I've pulled out just a few here because they're honestly, and I love this book so much because there are so many ways you could go with this, right? But one is we can analyze the motif of the light in this passage and all throughout. And in order to do this, our students, to do that analyzation, they need to be making inferences, right? They need to be thinking beyond the literal and getting into, like, what is this figurative language saying? They need to be able to really break that down. Then another piece that I might pull out, and again, there are other ways I could go, but is to evaluate Nick as a narrator based on his thoughts, and then also based on the comments of other characters, especially that final scene with Jordan where she talks about good driving. Oh my gosh, I love that paragraph so much. And to get here, to do that level of evaluation, our students need to be able to, again, infer. They need to be able to read beyond exactly what is said. They need to make judgments that are based on textual evidence. And then they have to really analyze the different characters and draw conclusions. And so when I think about what I would need to be teaching earlier in a unit for my students to be able to get to these final goals, I need to make sure that I'm including all these pieces. And so the language arts framework essentially just provides a really organic and holistic way for us to break down what do we need to do to really comprehend and love a text.